In this lecture, we're going to learn about the hierarchy buttons. This is a feature that can be very useful to manage your scene as you work on your games. It becomes more and more useful the bigger your game becomes. As an example, over here I've got a really nice giant city. So it's made up of tons and tons of objects. Now if I just click just about anywhere, I'm bound to click on some object. So that can become quite annoying if there's no way where you can click somewhere and simply just deselect anything. So for example, over here, I want to play around and position all these cars, but I want to be able to deselect when I click outside of it. So to help that, over here on the hierarchy, if you go onto this left area, you see that you actually have two buttons. Now this one over here, that looks like a hand. This one is to unlock an object and make it unselectable. So for example, let's say that I do not want to select the ocean at all. So I simply go into the ocean object and over here, click on the button. And yep, now if I click on the ocean, you can see that my clicks go through it. So I cannot select the ocean. So now I can go ahead, play around with all of these, move them around. And if I want to deselect, simply select that in there. So that's what the right button does. It simply enables or disables selecting by clicking. It can be very useful if you've got a giant world full of objects and you want to be able to click somewhere to deselect it. Also, if you have your object set up as children of another object, then on that object you see this little icon. So this means that one of these child objects is set as locked. And if you select and interact with the parent itself, it will either lock or unlock all of the child objects. So if I click on this, then it's going to deselect all of them. Now I cannot select any of them. So this can also be useful if you deselect some of them. And then say I find this one and I only want to play around this car. So I make this one unlocked. And yep, now I click outside, cannot select, and I can only select this one. Alright, so the next button, this one toggles the visibility. So for example, let's say that I want to play around and make a bunch of waypoints around here, so it would be nice to not have all of these buildings in the way. So I can just select them and over here click on the left button and it simply hides the object. So click, hide, hide, and so on. So now the objects are invisible and I can easily look at everything that's underneath. Now it's also important to note that these buttons only affect the scene view. So I've got here my camera view and my scene view. And as you can see, if I select one of them and I use these buttons to hide the visual for the building, it doesn't actually affect the game. So in the game, the object is still in there. It is simply not visible over here on the scene view. Whereas if you select the object and you disable the whole game object, now the object is hidden in scene view, but it's also modified in the game view. So that could cause quite a lot of unintended issues. So these two buttons are perfect for helping you in the scene view without causing any changes on the rest of your game. Alright, so those are the hierarchy buttons. Very useful for helping you manage your game scenes, especially as they get bigger and bigger.